Hello everyone, welcome back to the SOC Analyst Series. So if you are preparing for SOC Analyst interview or starting your career in cybersecurity, one topic that comes up almost every day is network ports. So as a SOC analyst, you constantly investigate firewall logs, IDS alerts, EDR detection, proxy logs, packet capture, etc. So almost every alert does contain a source port and a destination port. So if you don't know what services normally being running on a port, you will have a hard time determining whether the activity is legitimate or suspicious. So in this video, I'll explain the most common ports every SOC analyst should know what each protocol does. Okay, so let's get started with our first slide and our first protocol, that is FTP. FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol, and there are two port number which is being assigned to FTP, that is port number 20 and port number 21. So port number 20 is a data port basically, which is also called as active FTP, and port number 21 is control. So FTP is basically used to transfer files between computer over network. So the problem with traditional FTP is that the username, passwords, files are being transmitted in a plain text, making it unsecure. Okay, moving to our second port, that is SSH. SSH stand for secure shell. The port number of SSH is 22. So it allow administrator to securely access Linux servers remotely. So unlike Telnet, SSH encrypts all communication, making it as more secure. Okay, moving to our third port, that is Telnet. The port number of Telnet is 23. Okay, so Telnet protocol provides remote command line access. So however, if we compare with secure shell, in the secure shell, the data or the administrator was securely accessing the Linux servers remotely, and it encrypts all the communication. However, in the Telnet protocol, it sends everything in a plain text. Because of that, Telnet is unsecure. Okay, so SSH is more secure compared to Telnet. Okay, so that's the reason many of the organization have disabled Telnet completely. Okay, moving to our next protocol, that is SMTP. SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, and the port number of SMTP is 25. This is one of the protocol which is used in email transaction. Okay, SMTP is also called as push protocol. Why? SMTP protocol is used to send emails. Okay, that is SMTP. The port number is 25, very important port. Moving to our next port, that is DNS. DNS stand for domain name system, and the port number of DNS is 53. Okay, so think DNS as the internet phone book. So instead of remembering IP addresses, users type domain name. So I'll give you an example. So for example, uh, the the IP address of Google is 8.8.8. Okay, so everyone doesn't know the IP addresses of Google or any other website, but they do know the names of that. For example, Google, Yahoo, or any other website, right? Or any other domain name. So instead of remembering the IP addresses, users type domain name. Instead of typing 8.8.8.8, the people or the user will type google.com. Okay, so DNS converts those names into IP addresses. DNS converts those names into IP addresses. Okay, moving to our next protocol, that is DHCP. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So there are two port number which is being assigned to DHCP, that is 67 and 68. 67 is server side port number and 68 is client side port number. Okay, so what does DHCP do is DHCP assigns the IP addresses manually. So without DHCP, the user would need to configure the IP addresses manually. So that's the reason DHCP is being used. Okay, to assign the IP addresses automatically. Moving to our next protocol, that is HTTP, very important protocol. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay, the port number of HTTP is 80. Okay, so HTTP is used for normal web browsing. So unlike HTTPS, it does not encrypt data. So the data which will be transferring between the client and the server, those will be in the plain text. Okay, moving to our next protocol, that is POP3. POP3, which actually stand for Post Office Protocol 3. The port number of POP3 is 1110. So POP3 is again another protocol which is being used in email transaction. Like SMTP, POP3 is called as pull protocol. Why? Because it is used to receive or retrieve the emails from mail server. Okay, that is POP3 for you. Moving to our next protocol, that is NTP. Okay, NTP stands for Network Time Protocol, and the port number of NTP is 123. Okay, NTP synchronizes the system time between the multiple systems. Time synchronization is actually very critical. So without the correct timestamp, the security investigation becomes extremely difficult, right? So incorrect time configuration also causes logging problem as well. Do remember that. Moving to our next protocol, that is NetBIOS. NetBIOS stands for Network Basic Input Output System. So the port number which is being assigned is from 135 till 139. So NetBIOS supports communication between Windows computers. Okay, the use of NetBIOS. Moving to our next protocol, that is IMAP. IMAP stands for Internet Message Access Protocol. The port number is 143. Again, IMAP is another protocol which is being used in email transaction. Okay, so again, IMAP is basically used by email clients to retrieve and manage emails directly from the mail server. So just do remember that even POP3 is used to retrieve the emails from a mail server. Even IMAP is used to retrieve the mail from a email server. So what is the difference? So the main difference between both of them is IMAP keeps email on the servers, allowing user to access the same mailbox from a multiple devices. Okay, such as he can access those particular emails from laptop, mobile phones. Okay, wherever that particular mail server is being hosted or being installed, I would say. Okay, if he wants to retrieve that particular mail from a laptop, he can do that. From a mobile device, he can do that. Okay, while keeping everything synchronized. Okay, so today most modern email services use IMAP because it provides better flexibility and synchronization than POP3. Okay, that is IMAP for you. Moving to our next protocol, that is SNMP. SNMP stands for Simple network management. Okay, the port number is 161 and 162. So SNMP used to manage and manages and monitor network devices. Okay, so SNMP protocol used to manage and monitor network devices, like we do have router, switches, we have printer, firewalls, right? All those network devices uses SNMP protocol. Okay, that is SNMP. Moving to our next slide, which cover remaining protocol, and in that our first protocol is LDAP. LDAP stand for lightweight directory access, and the port number of LDAP is 389. So LDAP basically provides directory services. It is used to, I would say, it is used to access or manage active directory. LDAP is basically a language which is used to access or manage directory. So it allow user to authenticate and access the information which are being present in the directory. Okay, so Microsoft Active Directory relies heavily on ADP, LDAP, sorry. Okay, moving to our next, one of the most important protocol, that is HTTP. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transport Protocol Secure. Okay, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and here S stand for secure. So unlike HTTP, HTTP, yes, uses encrypted web traffic, and it uses TLS and SSL connections. Okay, so whatever data which is being transmitted between the client and the server, those will be in the encrypted format. Okay, that is HTTP for you. Moving to our next protocol, that is SMB. SMB stands for server message block, and the port number of SMB is 445. So it is basically used for file sharing, printer sharing uh, activity. Okay, moving to our next protocol, that is syslog. Okay, syslog stand for system logging. It is basically a system logging protocol, and the port number is 514. Okay, so syslog is basically used to collect the logs from different network devices, I would say, like firewall, switches, router, and these system logs are being transmitted or forwarded to the SIM platforms. Okay, that is syslog for you. Moving to our next protocol, that is SMTP over TLS. Okay, so the port number is 587. Okay, so this is the preferred port for authenticated email submission. So unlike port 25, if we see SMTP here, the port is 25. So unlike port 25, communication is being encrypted using the TLS connection in this protocol. Okay, that is SMTP over TLS. Now we have LDAPs. LDAPs over SSL or TLS connection. The port number is being assigned is 636. Okay, so what does LDAP stand for? It's actually same. the last ASS basically stand for secured. Okay, so LDAPs is basically a LDAP secured with SSL or TLS. Okay, and what does secure do is it authentication, like it authenticate the data and it checks whether the data is encrypted or not. Okay, just remember one more thing, that modern AD environment commonly use this protocol only, LDAPs. Okay, now moving to next protocol, that is MS SQL. Okay, the the port number of MS SQL is 1433 and it stands for Microsoft SQL Server. Okay, so this particular protocol, or I would say server, stores enterprise database. Okay, 1443 is basically a default port number which is being assigned to Microsoft database server. Moving to our next protocol, that is MySQL. Okay, so MySQL stand for 33, like it does have a port of 3306 and it is one of the world most popular open source data database. Okay, moving to next protocol and very important protocol, that is RDP. RDP stands for remote desktop protocol. The port number is 3389. Okay, so this protocol allows different user to remotely access Windows systems. Okay, that is RDP for you. Moving to next, that is PostgreSQL database. Okay, the port number assigned to that is 5432. Okay, so PostgreSQL is another widely used enterprise database. It basically monitors for unauthorized database accesses, uh, large data exports, any suspicious SQL activity which is being happening, any external connections. Okay, it monitors that. Now the last is TLS syslog over TLS. The port number assigned is 6514. Okay, so this is a, I would say this is a secure version of, syslog. So logs are being encrypted during the transmission. So in this the logs, the system logs which was which were actually collected, and those logs were being forwarded to the SIM platforms. In this scenario, whatever logs which will be collected, that logs will be forwarded to the SIM platform in a encrypted format. That is TLS syslogs. Okay. So this is all about common port numbers which are very relevant in SOC Analyst series and for SOC Analyst. Okay, so these are the common ports every SOC Analyst should know. So remember, memorizing port number is only the first step. The real skill is understanding what normally looks like in your environment, and recognizing when traffic on these ports is unusual or suspicious. Okay, so for example, I'll give you an example. So for example, there is RDP connection at 2 p.m. by an IT administration, may be normal. RDP at 3 a.m. from a foreign IP could be a serious incident. DNS lookups are expected. Thousands of requests to a random looking domains may indicate malware, right? So as a SOC analyst, you should always ask, is this protocol expected? Is the source authorized? That particular destination is trusted or not? Does the timing making sense or not? Does this align with the user's roles and behavior or not? Okay, so if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with other preparing for SOC analyst roles. So in the next video of the SOC analyst series, we will be deep diving into two other protocol, that is TCP and UDP.